I never imagined I'd be the guy hunched over a phone, watching my life implode in real time, but there I was, clutching her device like it was a ticking bomb. My heart thumped so loud it drowned out everything else, and a heavy, suffocating pressure squeezed my chest. The betrayal wasn't just in the words flashing across the screen, it was in how effortlessly they flowed, the playful banter, the teasing, the blatant crossing of boundaries that should have been sacred. But this wasn't where it all began. No, the cracks had started forming long before I ever grabbed her phone, maybe a year back, maybe more. I'd felt a shift, a quiet distance creeping into our lives, seeping into our bedroom, our talks, our moments of silence. At first, I brushed it off as the usual grind, work, kids, life piling up. We'd settled into the steady hum of marriage, but somewhere along the line, we stopped chasing each other. It showed in the little things. She'd shrug off my hand when I reached for her, distracted. The spark in her eyes when I came home? Gone. I told myself it was temporary. Marriages have phases, right? They pass. But looking back, I should have recognized it for what it was, the start of something unraveling. I tried to close the gap a few times, but my efforts always fell flat. I booked a weekend getaway for just the two of us, no kids, no distractions. She grinned, pecked my cheek, and said she couldn't wait. But when the weekend rolled around, she had a reason to bail, work needed her, some last-minute crisis. I bought it. Why wouldn't I? So, I unpacked the bags, canceled the hotel, and told myself we'd try again later. We never did. Then came the late nights, the schedule changes, the extra shifts. I wanted to believe she was just pouring herself into her career, that her tiredness was real. But deep down, a small, nagging voice kept whispering something else. I shoved it aside, convincing myself I was overthinking. She'd come home, crash on the couch, and scroll through her phone while I handled dinner, baths, and bedtime stories. I didn't mind, I loved being a dad. But there was a hollowness in her presence I couldn't shake. One night, I half-laughed, testing the waters. You sneaking around on me or what? I teased, giving her a playful nudge. She rolled her eyes, swatted my arm, and said, "Don't be absurd." I dropped it. That's who I was, trusting, devoted, believing love was enough. But love doesn't stop someone from wandering when they feel unseen. Now, staring at those messages that confirmed every buried fear, I saw the truth. This wasn't a sudden stab in the back, it was a slow drift, a steady erosion of what we'd built. I'd been too blind to stop it, too trusting to question, too wrapped up in love to notice I was losing her long before she slipped away. Jasper, swing by tonight. Maia, you know I can't. Jasper, why not? Maia, my husband would figure it out. Jasper, make up an excuse. Maia, why take the chance? Jasper, for a night you'll never forget. Maia, you're awfully confident. Jasper, prove me wrong. Reading those words hit like a sledgehammer to the gut. No phrase could capture the tidal wave of betrayal, rage, and heartbreak crashing through me. My hands shook as I gripped my wife's phone, my breath shallow, my vision blurring. I didn't even notice the tears until they splashed onto the screen. I sat there, frozen, my mind spinning through memories, our wedding, the births of our girls, every milestone we'd celebrated. Those moments, once the heartbeat of our story, now felt like cruel taunts of what was slipping away. The sound of the shower shutting off snapped me back. Behind that door, she was toweling off, oblivious to the storm about to break. Normally, the thought of her fresh from the shower, wrapped in nothing but steam, would have stirred something primal in me. But now? All I felt was the sharp, burning sting of betrayal. I had maybe 5 minutes to pull myself together before she stepped out. The evening had started like any other. I got home around 5:40 to our place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Maia wasn't back yet, her shifts at the clinic in Dawson County often ran long, so no surprise there. I grabbed a cola from the fridge and strolled into the living room, where my 16-year-old niece, Brielle, was sprawled on the couch, channel surfing while texting. She had that teenage edge but was a solid kid, no trouble, no drama. The second she saw me, her voice dropped, and she rushed to end her call. I grinned. Top secret teen stuff, huh, Bri? I asked. Where are the girls? Before she could answer, a loud crash upstairs was followed by the rapid patter of tiny feet. A whirlwind of energy hit me as my youngest, Nora, launched herself into my arms with a squeal. Daddy! I caught her, like always, and she giggled, planting a kiss on my cheek, her little arms squeezing my neck. Right on cue, she chirped, I'm starving. My eldest, Ivy, came up slower, wrapping her arms around my legs in a quiet hug. Hey, Daddy, she said softly. She wasn't as wild as Nora, but I knew she missed me just as much. Two different souls, but so tightly bonded. I slipped Brielle some cash for babysitting. Later, Uncle Theo, she said, pecking my cheek before heading out. I wasn't in the mood to cook, so I ordered pizza. The girls tore into it and then vanished to their rooms, leaving me to kick back. Maia rolled in right at 6, like clockwork. She greeted me with a quick kiss, ditched her shoes, and curled up next to me on the couch. I set my laptop aside, pulled her feet into my lap, and rubbed them while we chatted about our days. It felt so ordinary, until it wasn't. After tucking the girls in, Maia headed for the shower. I was lounging in bed, scrolling through my phone, when hers buzzed on the nightstand. Without thinking, I picked it up, expecting a text from her sister or a coworker. Instead, my stomach lurched. A photo of a guy, and a message, here's what you're missing. My pulse roared as I opened the chat. The name at the top? Jasper. I kept scrolling, my breath hitching as the truth sank deeper. The messages I'd just read? Those were from today, sent while she was driving home from work. And they were only the surface. Over 200 texts filled her inbox in just a week. Her and Jasper had been at this non-stop. This wasn't some harmless back and forth, this was something alive, something real. One message from 2 days ago twisted my gut like a knife. Jasper, seeing you walk out of that diner was brutal. Maia, I noticed, you weren't exactly subtle. Jasper, did you really spot me? Maia, hard to miss something that obvious. Jasper, bet you could hide it better. Maia, you're awful. My grip on the phone tightened, my knuckles bleaching white. I had maybe a couple of minutes before she stepped out of that bathroom. Then the door hinges squeaked. Maia appeared, steam curling around her like a haze, looking like a vision from some other life where this nightmare didn't exist. She had on one of my old tees, barely skimming her cotton shorts, and for a split second, I forgot everything, the texts, the lies, the betrayal. Then our eyes locked. Her smile wavered, her gaze darting to the phone in my hand, and in that instant, she knew. Neither of us spoke. The silence hung heavy, choking the air between us. I broke it first, my voice steady but sharp. Maia, who's Jasper? Her lips quivered, parting slightly. He's just a guy from the clinic, she said, her voice shaky. Why? Why? As if I'd stumbled across a casual chat about shift schedules or coffee runs. Anger flared, not just at her betrayal but at the insult to my intelligence. What do you think, Maia? I kept my tone even, but the fury beneath it simmered. She faltered, her eyes flickering. He's nobody special, just a coworker, a nurse I see on shifts. But her face betrayed her, guilt, fear, desperation, all screaming louder than her words. A bitter chuckle slipped out. Nobody special, I repeated, the words sour in my mouth. I stood, pacing the room, still clutching her phone. Nobody special, I said again, as if chanting it could make it true. But it wasn't, and we both knew it. With every step, rage burned hotter, churning in my chest. Before I knew it, I flung the phone with everything I had, not at her, not on purpose. It smashed against the wall, breaking into pieces. She flinched, staring at the wreckage, then back at me. For the first time in our marriage, I saw fear in her eyes. She took a cautious step back, hands raised like I was some kind of danger. Theo, please, you need to calm down, she said, her voice trembling. We need to talk before you do something we'll regret. My fists clenched, my breathing ragged, the storm inside me barely contained. Then talk, Maia. Stop lying. Who is Jasper? His name came out like a growl. Tears streamed down her face, but I didn't budge. I didn't care if she was scared. She'd been bold enough to text him, hadn't she? I'm telling you the truth, she stammered. He's a nurse, works on my floor. Convenient, she dropped the nobody special line this time. I sank onto the edge of the bed, gripping my knees, trying to steady my shaking hands. Rage pulsed through me like wildfire, but losing it wouldn't get me answers. I forced a slow breath, pinching the bridge of my nose, fighting the urge to break something. Are you sleeping with him? Her sobs stopped cold. She looked up, eyes wide, panic flashing across her face. No, oh my God, no way. The words spilled out, laced with indignation, like the question itself was offensive. She even glared at me, as if I'd crossed a line. I studied her, her reaction was instant, raw, no pause. I wanted to believe her, needed to, but then that text flashed in my mind, prove me wrong. They hadn't gone that far, yet. But that didn't mean she was innocent. Then explain what I read, I said, my voice low. For a moment, guilt flickered in her eyes. She swallowed hard. Jasper and I, we just mess around sometimes, you know? It makes the long shifts bearable. She hesitated, searching for words. It's not serious. But her voice faltered, and she realized she'd just admitted what he'd been implying. She'd walked right into it. Innocent messing around? I scoffed. Then why is he inviting you over for the night of your life? The second those words left my mouth, a worse thought slammed into me. I spun to face her, my stomach roiling. Are you talking to him about us? About me? Are you sitting there, joking with him, sharing details about our private life? Her face collapsed in horror. She lunged forward, grabbing my hands. No, Theo, never. I'd never do that, you have to believe me. She pressed my hand to her tear-soaked cheek, kissing it desperately. I'm so sorry. I pulled my hand back, and she recoiled like I'd struck her. 15 minutes ago, I'd have done anything to ease her pain. Now? It felt like she'd earned it. You think texting another guy about his charm is respecting me? My voice was cold, cutting. You've already disrespected me, Maia. I started pacing again, my mind racing. Why does he think being with him would be the best night of your life? She froze, then mumbled, it was a joke, Theo. We were just fooling around. He knows it's nothing. I stopped dead. Was she serious? This woman, my wife, the sharpest person I knew, thought that was a valid excuse? I spun around so fast Maia flinched, like she thought I was lunging at her. I wasn't. I brushed past, stooping to gather the shattered pieces of her phone from the floor. The battery had popped out, lucky break. I needed this thing to work. She stood there, silent, her breathing uneven, watching me piece it back together. Her tears didn't faze me. All I cared about was evidence. The phone flickered on. I pulled up the message that had gutted me, the one that started this mess, and shoved the screen toward her. If it's all so innocent, why is he sending you a photo of himself like that? Her eyes locked onto the display, and she gasped, a hand flying to her mouth as fresh tears spilled. She didn't grab the phone, instead, she slapped it from my grip, her voice a shrill cry. I don't want to look at that. Get it away. Before I could react, she bolted from the room. I sank onto the bed, drained. She hadn't slept with him, I believed that much. But it didn't ease the ache. This wasn't just playful chatter. It was a deliberate dance, a risky game between two people who knew the stakes. And she'd played along, entertained it, maybe even considered it. Then he'd up the ante with that photo. If I hadn't found it, would she have reacted the same way? Would she have been repulsed, or tempted? Would she have sent something back? She didn't come upstairs that night, and I didn't go down to find her. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, too exhausted to do anything but replay the what-ifs. The alarm's blare jolted me awake. I groaned, smacking it off harder than needed. My head pounded, my body heavy, and for a moment, I was caught in that foggy morning haze where something feels off but you can't pin it down. Then it hit me, sharp and cold. I shivered, glancing around, and two things stood out. 1. I'd never pulled the covers over me last night. 2. Maia's side of the bed was untouched, no dents, no warmth, like she'd never planned to come back. That snapped me alert. Normally, her being gone in the morning wouldn't raise an eyebrow, clinic shifts in Tulsa were unpredictable. But this? This was different. The pristine sheets screamed avoidance. Last night flooded back, the texts, the photo, the way she'd knocked the phone from my hand and fled. Nausea hit hard. My stomach was empty, but I still doubled over, forcing myself to breathe through it. The morning routine didn't care about my crisis. For years, it had been the same drill. I'd wake the girls 10 minutes early, not because they needed it, but because it kept things smooth. Extra time meant no meltdowns. Otherwise, it was a fight to drag them out of bed. Once they were dressed, we'd head downstairs. Breakfast was simple, cereal for them, coffee for me. Maia always left a full pot brewing, knowing I'd need the boost. Everything ran like a well-oiled machine. Except today, it all derailed. Today, my wife wasn't just off to work early, she was dodging me. Halfway through breakfast, the first shock hit. Maia was at the kitchen table, cradling a mug of coffee. We all froze. She never joined us in the mornings, not even on her days off. She'd stay upstairs, catching extra sleep or scrolling her phone. Seeing her here, waiting, felt like a quiet admission of guilt. Then came the second blow. Her face was ghostly pale, eyes red and puffy, hair a tangled mess. She looked like she hadn't slept a wink. Ivy hesitated, her voice soft. "Mommy?" The way she said it, cautious and small, showed the girls sensed the tension. Maia forced a smile, opening her arms. "Morning, sweetheart." Her voice cracked, the strain obvious. Ivy paused, then stepped into the hug. "Mommy's not feeling great today," Maia murmured, stroking her hair, but her eyes met mine, the double meaning clear as day. The girls bought the excuse, they wanted normal, so they clung to it. The morning dragged on in near silence. Maia kept stealing glances at me, searching for something, forgiveness, maybe? I ignored her, or tried to. Looking at her stirred two feelings, the love I still had and the rage I couldn't shake. The school bus's screech was my lifeline. "Bye, Daddy." "Bye, Mommy." The girls bolted out, and just like that, we were alone. I busied myself with the dishes, already mentally at work. "I'm heading out," I mumbled, grabbing my keys. Maia set her mug down. "I called in for you." I froze mid-step. "What did you just say?" She took a slow sip, her voice calm. "I called your boss, told him you're not coming in. Said you're sick, fever, up all night. He said to rest and let him know if you need more time." My jaw tightened, fists clenching at my sides. "Why the hell would you do that?" The answer was obvious, but I needed to hear it. She didn't flinch, just held my stare, her expression unreadable. "Because we need to talk, Theo." I let out a sharp breath, dragging a hand across my face. "How did we end up here?" "Damn it, Jasper, did you really have the nerve to send my wife a photo like that?" Guess I should back up and explain how we got to this mess. I'm 55, still in solid shape. I've been hitting the gym since my high school days. My weight? That's a number I keep to myself, but let's just say I take care of myself. Looking back, I can't help but think about how Maia and I ended up together, especially now, with everything falling apart. She's always been a knockout, deep brown hair, emerald eyes, and this warm, olive skin that seems to glow under the sun. Her figure's just right, modest curves, a slim waist, strong legs from years of staying active, and yeah, a backside that catches eyes without being over the top. Back in high school in Cheyenne, Wyoming, she was a force on the field. Tried every sport going, even gave cheerleading a whirl, but soccer stole her heart. With her athletic talent and natural beauty, fitting in was never a struggle. Guys lined up for her attention, and she didn't have to try. Maia always gravitated toward guys like her, fit, confident, the kind who knew they looked good. Not the hulking bodybuilder types, too much bulk wasn't her thing. She went for tall, lean guys with chiseled abs, the ones who could make her heart skip with a glance. Problem was, life's got a twisted sense of humor. Those guys? They knew the power they held and wielded it like a weapon. Most were cocky, always chasing the next thrill, never content with one woman no matter how much she gave. They'd flash a perfect smile, say all the right things, make her feel like the only one, until they got what they wanted. Then, poof, the charm vanished, replaced by a self-absorbed jerk who couldn't care less. By college, at a university in Omaha, Nebraska, Maia stuck to her type, athletes. If you didn't play a sport, you didn't stand a chance. But the pattern was clear, every slam dunk, every winning goal came with an ego to match. She dated one arrogant jock after another, each thinking he was God's gift to women. After enough heartbreak, she swore off the bad boy vibe and started looking for someone real. She even had a moment of curiosity during a tipsy truth or dare game, kissing a girl to see if it sparked anything. It didn't, she was all about guys, no question. By her senior year, she was done with dating, laser-focused on her studies, aiming to graduate top of her class, become a nurse, and build a network to land a job straight out of school. That was her mission. Then fate threw her a wild card, a blind date. Her roommate, Kira, had been chatting up some guy online for months, flirty texts, late-night calls, a few suggestive photos. The second Kira sent him a beach selfie, he was hooked, begging to meet in person. Kira, being cautious, wasn't about to go alone, so she spun a story. She'd bring her heartbroken best friend who was too fragile to be left alone. That friend? Maia. Total nonsense, she wasn't nursing a breakup or drowning in tears. She'd planned to spend the night in their dorm, buried in textbooks for a big exam. Kira didn't even tell her about the date until it was set, and after relentless nagging, Maia gave in. She wasn't thrilled but wouldn't let her roommate go solo. The plan was simple: meet the guys at a theater in Omaha, enjoy a free burger, and have an exit strategy if Kira needed to bail. When they got there, they spotted Kira's guy right away. Tall, tanned, built like he lived at the gym, exactly Maia's old type. His friend, though? Just a regular guy. Decent looking, sure, but nothing that screamed standout. The kind of guy who'd make someone happy, but Maia didn't think that someone would be her. If I'm being honest, back then, she probably thought she was out of my league. Funny how time shows you how shallow you can be. If she'd had to pick between us that night, she'd have gone for Kira's guy in a heartbeat. And she'd have been dead wrong. Maia didn't expect to enjoy herself. Her goal was to be polite, make small talk, keep the friend entertained while Kira worked her charm, then slip out. I reckon I had the same plan. After all, I was just there to keep the lonely friend company. I figured I'd forget her by morning. But you know how plans go. 10 minutes into talking, I realized I actually liked her, not in some wild, tear her clothes off way, but in a way that made me want to keep the conversation going. She had the sharp wit, a sarcasm that was playful but never forced. Talking to her felt easy, natural, like we'd known each other forever. I ended up telling her more about myself than I meant to, and she did the same. Oh, and Kira's guy? Total cliché. Guys who fit that perfect mold are often the worst, and this one was proof. Every word out of his mouth dripped with innuendo, every attempt to talk was just a ploy to steer things somewhere sleazy. I caught Maia glancing at Kira, and I saw the frustration in her eyes. The night was crashing hard. Kira shot Maia a subtle look, a quiet signal to trigger their escape plan. I couldn't help but smirk when I thought back to that night at the theater in Omaha. Kira's face was practically begging Maia to pull the plug on the date, but Maia wasn't having it. For once, she wasn't on the same wavelength as her roommate. She was actually having fun. More than that, she felt a kind of ease with me she hadn't felt with any guy before. So, she ignored Kira's signals and let her fend for herself. After all, the whole night was Kira's idea. But the evening had to wrap up eventually. Kira's guy got an awkward cheek kiss and a vague "let's do this again" that nobody believed. Me? I didn't even ask for Maia's number. So, she took charge, snatching my phone and punching her digits in herself. She even made me promise to call her the next day. That was a first for her. Maia wasn't the type to chase guys, she never had to be. All night, she dropped hints she was into me, but I hadn't given her much back. No flirty grins, no smooth lines, nothing to show I was making a move. She started wondering if I was just shy or genuinely not interested. Either way, she wasn't leaving it to chance. She skipped the subtle games and made it clear. When that didn't work, she just grabbed my phone and did it herself. Whether we ended up together or not, she knew she wanted me in her life. Fast forward through the less thrilling bits, Maia and I became more than friends. After she graduated from college in Lincoln, Nebraska, aced her nursing exams, and became a registered nurse, we moved in together. I'd already earned my computer science degree years before and was working at a tech firm in Tulsa, right near the clinic where she landed a job. By the time we met, I'd been at the company for a year. We dated through her senior year, lived together for 6 months, then I proposed. 6 months after that, we were married. Let me be clear, Maia's my world. I wouldn't trade her for anything. She's an incredible mom, a devoted partner, and yeah, one hell of a lover. I found out just how much on our third date. Up until that night, she wasn't sure she wanted me as a boyfriend. We clicked, sure, but I wasn't her usual type, tall, lean, abs for days. That changed one evening at my place. We were chilling, music playing, just talking. The vibe between us was always easy, but after a couple of drinks, something shifted. One minute we were laughing, the next we were all over each other, kissing, clothes hitting the floor. She saw a side of me that blew her away, something she'd never felt before. I won't say she fell in love right then, but after that, she was all in. She wanted more than just friendship. Over time, that spark grew into something deeper, and we built a life together. So how does a woman who loves her husband end up in a mess like this? I've been turning it over, and it's ugly but honest. Maia craves attention. She's always known she's beautiful, brown hair, green eyes, that glow. Since she was a kid, guys have chased her, flirted, and tried to break through her walls even when she wasn't looking. It was a game she didn't fully realize she was playing. She loved the pursuit, the feeling of being wanted. Looking back, she sees it now. She'd give just enough to keep guys hopeful, but never let them get too close. It was control, her way of staying on top. Over the years, we settled into a routine. Not boring, just steady. After our second daughter, Maia's body changed. She still looked amazing, other women would kill for her figure, but she noticed every small difference, every extra pound. I told her she was gorgeous, and I meant it, but I could tell she felt I wasn't captivated anymore. We still had a great connection, but that raw, can't keep my hands off you hunger? It had faded. She never said it out loud, not even to herself, just buried it and reminded herself she had a loyal husband. But the feeling lingered. Then, 10 years into our marriage, she met Jasper. If I'm being real, Jasper's the kind of guy women lose their minds over: tall, dark, curly hair, a smile that could charm anyone, and a body carved from years of discipline. Before nursing, he was a Marine medic, 8 years in the service, then college to keep doing what he loved. Broad shoulders, strong arms, chiseled chest, Jasper turned heads everywhere and knew it. That confidence came with an edge, not outright cocky but self-assured, like he never had to try too hard. I'd bet he'd been with every nurse at the clinic except Maia. Maybe that's what caught his eye, she was the one he couldn't have. One of her co-workers, Delphine, was obsessed with Jasper in a way that was almost embarrassing. If he'd asked, she'd probably have thrown herself at him in the middle of a patient room, husband be damned. Every time he walked in, she'd get this starry-eyed, lovesick look, like a kid crushing on a rock star. Maia noticed his looks, who wouldn't, but she swore that's where it ended. So why would a woman who loves her husband risk it all for flirty texts with a smug guy she claims she doesn't care about? Simple, it fed her ego. The second Jasper started tossing compliments her way, she knew exactly what he was doing. I've been turning over how Maia got caught up with Jasper, and it's a hard truth to swallow. She knew exactly what his smooth words meant, and what they didn't. At first, it was harmless, just a spark that took her back to her college days in Lincoln, Nebraska, feeling wanted, alive, confident in a way she hadn't in years. It woke something in her she didn't even know she'd lost. She wasn't looking for an affair, never planned to cross that line with him. It was just a thrill, the attention, the chase, the way he always found a reason to strike up a conversation. She loved that he saw her, desired her. Sure, she loved me, but she also loved feeling irresistible. So, she played along, teasing Jasper, never fully giving in but never closing the door completely. She dangled just enough hope to keep him hooked, and he kept coming back for more. Their back and forth got bolder, the boundaries thinner. He pushed, testing how far he could go, and every time he crossed a line, she'd pull back, but only just. She always left a sliver of possibility, enough to keep him chasing. His attention was like a drug, and she leaned into it, even though she knew what he was after. She didn't stop it. She flirted right back. It wasn't until I confronted her with Jasper's latest message that she realized how far it had gone. Damn it, why did he send that photo? What made him think it was okay? The answer's clear now, he's a smug, entitled jerk. Looking back, she should have seen it coming. She played the game knowing who he was, teasing him for so long that he finally raised the stakes. She never expected it to spiral like this, but now she's stuck with 3 problems: convincing me I'm still the love of her life, making me believe she never meant to go further with Jasper, and figuring out how to keep me from walking out for good. We sat at the kitchen table in our Tulsa home, the silence between us heavy, like a wall we couldn't scale. The only sound was the soft ticking of the clock in the living room. We were barely 3 feet apart, but it felt like we were on different planets. She wouldn't meet my eyes, and I refused to look at her. I could sense her glancing my way, trying to read my mood, searching for a hint of where I stood. Truth is, I was doing the same, both of us like boxers circling in a ring, waiting for the other to swing first. Nobody wanted to start the fight, but she broke the silence, and her words hit like a sucker punch. "You scared me last night," she whispered, her voice barely there. My grip on my coffee mug tightened. "I mean it, Theo," she went on. "I've never seen you that mad. When you threw my phone, I thought you might hit me. I've never been so afraid." She sniffled, wiping her nose on the sleeve of my oversized tee she was wearing. "I couldn't even sleep in our bed," she admitted, her voice fading. I finally looked at her, and something in me cracked. No matter what she'd done, I never wanted her to fear me. I wanted to grab her, make her feel the hurt she'd caused, but not like this, not to where she saw me as a threat. The thought of her curled up on the couch, jumping at every creak, thinking I might storm downstairs in a rage, it twisted my gut. I didn't know what to say. Part of me thought she deserved to be scared, but the part that still loved her hated that I'd made her feel that way. I'd lost it. That phone could have hit her if my aim had been off by an inch. I'd be in a cell right now, jobless, my family done with me, my girls knowing their parents' marriage was in ruins. It wouldn't just be a broken home, it'd be the end of everything. Thank God it didn't come to that. But she wasn't done. When she looked up again, the fear in her eyes was gone, replaced by a quiet resolve. "I get why you're angry, why you're hurt. What you saw, I understand now," she said, swallowing hard. "If you'd told me to pack up and go stay with my sister, I wouldn't have fought it. I'd have deserved it." She let the words hang, giving me time to digest them. "But if you ever make me that scared again," she didn't finish, but her eyes said it all. I stayed silent, torn between the betrayed husband who had every right to be furious and the man who regretted how he'd reacted. She must have sensed the battle inside me because her face softened. She reached across the table, taking my hands, her thumbs tracing slow circles over my knuckles. I didn't hold her hands back, but I didn't pull away either. Her touch was familiar, grounding, a reminder that she still saw me, not the guy who scared her, but the one she'd loved for years. Maybe my not pulling away was enough for her. She gave a faint smile, but it faded fast, her expression turning serious. "I need you to believe me," she said softly. "I never meant to go that far with Jasper. That broke the dam." My eyes snapped to hers, blazing with disbelief. I didn't need to speak, she saw the accusation in my face. She sighed. "I know you don't believe me, and I can't prove it, but Theo, I swear, I'd never do that. I love you too much." I shoved my chair back and stood, her words cut off mid-sentence. Without a word, I turned and headed upstairs. Truth is, I didn't even know why I went up there. I had my keys, I was dressed, if I wanted to leave, I'd have walked out the front door. But I didn't, and she knew it. Her voice followed me, still talking, still trying to make me hear her, but by then, her words were just noise, like static I couldn't tune out. I stopped dead in my tracks and whipped around, nearly colliding with Maia. My eyes locked onto hers, my breath sharp through my nose, like a bull ready to charge. She froze, barely breathing. "Maia," I said, my voice low and even, "you said last night you never wanted to fear me again, that I shouldn't make you feel like I'd hurt you." She swallowed hard, her eyes wide. I took a slow, deliberate step closer, my voice dropping to a chilling whisper. "But let's be real, I keep picturing my hands around your throat just to stop the lies." She gasped, her lips parting, a flicker of fear crossing her face. "And if you don't want me to make you regret that warning you gave me downstairs," I said, exhaling sharply, "you'd better give me some damn space to figure out how to talk to you without leaving our girls without a dad." Her breath caught, and I wasn't sure if it was my words or the fire in my eyes that scared her more. "Until then," I added, my tone hard as iron, "you better learn how to tell the truth." I turned and stormed off, slamming the bedroom door behind me. In my head, I pictured a referee counting her out as she stood there, stunned. I yanked out my phone and called the one person who could talk me down. After a few rings, a familiar voice answered. "Budget office, this is Nora, how can I help?" "Nora, it's me," I said. A brief pause, then her tone shifted. "Hey, Theo, you've got the day off. You don't usually call from home." "Yeah, I called out," I admitted. Another pause. Nora knew me too well. I never took sick days, hell, I once dragged myself to work with a 102-degree fever. If I was staying home, something was seriously wrong. "Okay," she said slowly, "what's going on?" So, I laid it all out, the texts, the photo, Maia's lies. I skipped the part where I nearly took her head off with her phone. Nora listened quietly as I spilled everything. When I was done, she spoke. So, you confronted her? Sort of, I said. We tried talking, but she started lying, and it went south fast. Sort of, she repeated, skepticism creeping in. What did she say? That she never planned to go that far with him, that it was just harmless flirting, that she loves me. I let out a bitter chuckle. You know, the usual playbook when you get caught. Nora sighed. Theo, tread carefully. You're on a slippery slope. Don't do something that wrecks your life. I shut my eyes, trying to quell the storm inside. After a beat, she pushed gently. What else did she say? That's about it, I muttered. I walked away before we got deeper. Did she ever admit to planning to meet him? I hesitated, grabbing Maia's phone again and scrolling through the messages. Nothing showed her agreeing to go to his place, but come on, absence of proof wasn't proof of absence. I'd seen enough to know something was burning, and I sure as hell felt the heat. For a second, I mentally high-fived myself for the metaphor, but Nora wasn't impressed. Cute, she said dryly. You can sit there stewing over a fire that might not even be real, or you can grab a hose and deal with it. I frowned. So, you're on her side now? Don't be dumb, she shot back. I'm on your side, which is why I'm telling you to get your head straight and make choices based on facts, not rage. You don't want to make this worse than it is. My advice? Pull it together, sit down with her, and get the full story before you decide anything. She paused, then added, if you want to stay the one in the right, be smart. Let your anger take over, and if you do something you regret, suddenly she's the victim, and you're the villain. Don't let that happen. Damn, she was right. That's why I always called Nora my wiser big sister, my own personal Yoda. We talked for another 10 minutes, and by the end, I knew what I had to do. If I wanted any chance of moving forward, I needed the whole truth. That meant sitting down, shutting up, and listening, even if every word made my stomach turn. With that in mind, I headed downstairs. The moment I hit the bottom step, I heard soft sniffles from the living room. I stepped in and found Maia curled up on the couch, surrounded by wadded-up tissues. My chest tightened, but I forced my face to stay neutral. I had to keep my emotions in check. I sat across from her, taking a deep breath. Her red, puffy eyes locked onto me, wary but silent, waiting. Maia, I said, my voice steady, I need the truth, everything. No sugarcoating, no excuses, just the raw facts, no matter how bad. She nodded quickly, and I took that as a good sign. I started with the obvious. If you never meant to go that far with him, why send those kinds of messages? She sighed, dabbing her nose with a tissue. Because I liked toying with him. The blunt honesty caught me off guard. He's so full of himself, she went on, strutting around the clinic like every woman's dying to be with him. It was fun to mess with his head, to pull his strings. It sounded plausible, but I wasn't sold. I pressed on. Are you attracted to him? She paused, a tiny hesitation that felt like a blade in my gut. Then she answered, physically, yeah, he's good-looking. But that's not enough for me to want to go further. Not what I wanted to hear, but not a shock either. If she didn't find him at least somewhat attractive, this wouldn't have happened. Let me get this straight, I said, leaning in. You think he's hot, you enjoy flirting with him, you send suggestive texts, but you had no interest in taking it further? Gotta be honest, Maia, that story's got holes. Anger simmered in my chest, but I kept it locked down. She swallowed hard, then nodded. I admit it, I liked flirting with Jasper, but not because I wanted to do anything with him. She exhaled, like she was steeling herself. I liked it because he wanted me. He doesn't give up. I can tell him no a dozen times, and he'll try again. When a guy like that, who could have anyone, keeps chasing me, it's flattering. It made me feel desirable. I scowled. So, you needed some smug jerk fawning over you to feel good about yourself? Maia, you're the most stunning woman I've ever known, I said, my voice firm. She gave me a faint, almost wistful smile. Really? Because you don't act like it. Her words stopped me cold. Was she seriously turning this around on me? What's that supposed to mean? I shot back. I tell you all the time how beautiful you are. That's the problem, she whispered, her voice trembling. I opened my mouth to argue, but she cut me off. You wanted the truth, right? So here it is. She took a shaky breath. Sure, you say I'm beautiful every day, but I don't feel it anymore. It's just a habit, something you say without meaning it. You don't make me feel desirable, not like you used to. My anger fizzled as I really looked at her. She wasn't deflecting or blaming me, she was laying her heart bare. That raw honesty hit me like a freight train. Ever since the girls, she continued, her voice barely audible, I don't feel attractive. I've got stretch marks now. No matter how much I work out, this little belly won't go away. I couldn't believe it. This woman, my woman, was the most breathtaking person I'd ever seen. If I had my way, we'd ditch our jobs and spend our days wrapped up in each other, only getting up to eat and take care of the kids. I had no idea she felt like this. How had I missed it? Maia had always been so confident, so self-assured. I thought I was the lucky one, like I'd hit the jackpot when she chose me. I never realized she needed to hear it, too. Her voice softened, tinged with nostalgia. Remember when we first got together? You couldn't keep your hands off me. You'd watch me get ready, and I could feel your eyes on me. A faint smile flickered across her face. God, that drove me wild. I'd tease you on purpose, acting like I didn't notice, but I loved it. I loved knowing you couldn't get enough of me. Her smile faded. But now? I'm just the mom of your kids. You don't grab me when you pass by. You don't pull me close just to feel me. You don't look at me the way you did. Her voice cracked, and tears spilled over. It felt like a kick to the chest. I'd been so caught up in her life, I hadn't noticed I'd let things slip. Maia was so radiant, I'd spent our whole marriage marveling that she was mine, but somewhere along the way, I stopped showing it. I'd taken her for granted, and I hadn't seen her fading right in front of me. She looked at me, her eyes so vulnerable it twisted my heart. Yes, I liked Jasper's attention, she whispered, but I never even thought about cheating on you. I'd never throw away what we have, not for someone like him. She hiccuped through a sob. I can't imagine my life without you. Her tears flowed freely now. I was starting to believe her, but one question still gnawed at me. Maia, I said carefully, if I hadn't seen that last message, would his photo have excited you? She blinked, confused, the realization hit. You told him he was impressive, I reminded her. But you'd only seen him in scrubs. To my surprise, she let out a small laugh. Theo, I said that because it's what guys like him eat up. They act like they've won a prize when a woman says it. She rolled her eyes. I was just keeping him on the hook. I didn't think he'd actually send that. Her laughter faded, replaced by a look of disgust. I didn't want that photo, she said firmly. Honestly, it caught me off guard. But looking back, I guess I should have seen it coming. She shook her head, like she was trying to shake the memory loose. You know I'm not into that kind of thing. I've always preferred a little mystery. Silence settled between us. She'd said her piece, and now she watched me, bracing for my reaction. I didn't speak. Instead, I stood, crossed the room, and sat beside her on the couch. Without a word, I pulled her into my arms. She melted into me, sobbing into my shoulder as I held her tight, running my hand slowly up and down her back, comforting her. I didn't let go until her tears stopped. I love you, Theo, she whispered, her voice raw. More than anything. I'll never let another guy think he has a shot with me again. I swear. I kissed the top of her head. I love you too, Maia. For a while, we just held each other, both of us needing the closeness. Then I leaned back, meeting her gaze. You know Jasper's done, right? My voice was calm but firm. I can't control who you work with, and I have to trust you at the clinic, but I never want to see another message from him on your phone. Maia gave me a small, knowing smile and pulled me into another hug. Of course, Theo, she said softly. Jasper's gone from my life. After a brief pause, she added, while you were upstairs, I called HR. Asked if there was an opening on another floor. They said they'd let me know if something opens up. She hesitated, then continued, and tomorrow, I'm changing my number. I wish I could say things snapped back to normal after that. I tried to move on, to trust her again, but the harder I pushed, the tougher it got. Maia kept her word, she changed her number the next day. For 2 weeks, I checked her phone every night, like some paranoid detective. Then one evening, I just stopped. What was the point? I never found anything damning, but deep down, I knew if she wanted to hide something, she wouldn't be dumb enough to leave a trail. The truth was, I had no way to know for sure. All I could do was trust her, and that was the hardest part. She hadn't physically cheated, but I still had to grapple with the fact that she'd found another man's attention thrilling. It sounds small, I know, everyone notices other people, it's human, but after 10 years of marriage, you start to believe you're the only one they see. Then reality hits you like a sledgehammer. I leaned hard on my sister, Nora, my personal Yoda. She pulled me back from the brink more times than I can count. If I'm being honest, revenge crossed my mind more than once. I came this close to grabbing a crowbar, driving to the clinic, and waiting for Jasper by his car. I knew his ride, a flashy Mustang with a Freedom Ain't Free sticker and a military base pass on the windshield. The kind of car a guy like him, who thought he was untouchable, would drive. But Nora, in all her wisdom, reminded me that Ivy and Nora wouldn't want to visit their dad in jail. She even asked if I was ready to introduce my family to my new pal in prison, because, let's be real, I'm not cut out for hard time. I had to laugh. It wasn't until HR approved Maia's transfer to a different department that I started to breathe easier. She'd hounded them daily until they gave in. That's when it hit me, she was serious about fixing this. She loved her old unit at the Tulsa clinic, had been there for years, built real bonds with her patients, and earned their trust. The day before her transfer, they threw her a small goodbye party, and she walked away without looking back. That spoke volumes. She could have stayed, kept things professional, and ignored Jasper forever, but she went the extra mile to show me she was all in on repairing what she'd broken. For my part, I stepped up. I made damn sure Maia never had to wonder how much I wanted her. I didn't care who else thought she was beautiful, she needed to know I did. I kept it kid-friendly when the girls were around, but when we were alone? Let's just say she had to remind me to cool it more than once, though she wasn't exactly trying to stop me. As for Jasper, I never had to lift a finger. Karma took care of him. One night, he jumped in a clinic parking lot. Turns out, Delphine, one of the nurses on Maia's old floor, had been another one of his flings. Her husband found out and, unlike me, didn't have Nora to talk him down. He didn't just think about revenge, he showed up with a baseball bat. Jasper ended up in his own hospital, admitted as a patient. I know you'd love to hear he'll never walk right again, but nah, it wasn't that dramatic. He was discharged a week later, but he was never quite the same. Delphine's husband got arrested, locked up, I don't know for how long. But I was damn grateful Nora had stopped me from making the same mistake. I hoped that guy wouldn't end up as someone's buddy there. My phone buzzed with a text, then a call. I answered, grinning as soon as I heard her voice. Hey, handsome, Maia purred. Hey yourself, I shot back. Her tone turned playful. What are you wearing? Scrubs and a lab coat, I said, chuckling. Damn, that's hot. Send me a pic. I laughed. Thought you liked a little mystery. Usually, yeah, she teased, but I already know what's under that lab coat. A second later, my phone pinged with a message. Wow, she said, her voice mischievous. I can't believe you actually sent it. Now I'm officially distracted. When I get home, once the girls are asleep, you've got all my attention. I smirked. Hope you ate breakfast, babe. You're gonna need the energy. And I want you in that pink nightie tonight. She groaned. Theo, that thing hasn't fit since Nora was born. Exactly why I want you in it, I teased. Theo, you're awful, she laughed, her voice warm and light.